Folks for sure felt a good bit of swaying here. And here in San Francisco, it's more of a gentle swaying. We are efforting more information, but in the meantime, here is a tweet from our meteorologist Drew Tuma saying this was likely on the San Andreas Fault, so people in the South Bay Peninsula, San Francisco, were more likely to feel it than the East Bay. And certainly more likely to feel it, compared to people in San Francisco or points north like Marin County. But yeah, so on the San Andreas Fault, which is one of our major fault lines here in the Bay Area and one of the ones we worry about the big one, if you will.
Right.
All right, right now we want to go to our South Bay Bureau reporter, Lauren Martinez, to see how that quake was felt where you were, a lot closer, Lauren.
Kristen, it's been a couple months since I've moved back to the Bay Area, and right away when it started, I knew exactly what it was. When I lived in the Bay Area for about 5 years, I remember how quick and how long some felt. This one was pretty quick. I would say about 30 seconds or less. I was able to feel that it was a pretty strong jolt, and even hearing from people in San Francisco and the Bay Area that you were saying you felt it up there. So definitely felt it down here in our San Jose Bureau real quick. And my Shake app, actually, I have both on my personal phone and my work phone, went off. So yeah, definitely felt it. And we're making some calls right now to businesses and those in Hollister who for sure felt it there. So if you know anyone in Hollister, please reach out on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you just to see if there's, any damage or anything like that. But yeah, definitely felt it down here.
You've only been back for 2 months, and so this was kind of a wake-up call that you're back in earthquake country, but I know you've been through this before, so I imagine you weren't too rattled. In terms of what you're seeing in the immediate vicinity, and I realize you look to be like kind of on a street or office park, are you seeing anything unusual, anything that looks to be either damage or any stoppages in terms of service of any light rail or anything like that?
No, it appears business as usual right now. I would imagine we're just outside of our bureau, but I would imagine getting closer to more traffic areas. Maybe there's more people out there that we can grab just to see if someone else felt it. But everyone here at the bureau felt it right away. I could hear people talking loudly and kind of muttering, and you just hear more people talking about the office. So, but it's just business as usual right now from what we can see.
Thank you so much, Lauren. I will let you go so you can gather more information, but I do appreciate your experience with this quake. That's a 4.5 currently on the scale. I appreciate it. All right, in the meantime, let's go ahead and show you, I believe we have a tweet from one of the police agencies pretty close down there, Santa Clara Police, and they've got some useful information because, well, one, they tweeted when it was still a 4.7. It's been downgraded a little bit out of Tres Pinos. But here is the reminder they want you to pay attention to. 911 is not an information line. So do not call 911 to ask, was that an earthquake? Only call if you have an actual emergency. Someone's hurt, someone is trapped, there's a danger that you perceive because of this quake. But otherwise, please do not call them to ask if that was an earthquake. All right, right now we want to take you to San Jose once again with our reporter Dustin Dorsey, who has gone through many earthquakes, but tell us how you felt this one, Dustin.
Sitting here in my home office down in South San, you felt the shake, but honestly, with some of these strong winds that we've been feeling, including you see some breeze outside over my shoulder in the window right now, I thought it was just the wind rocking the house, honestly. To come to find out it was a 4.5, 4.6 earthquake out of Hollister was a little bit of a surprise. It was a pretty solid shake, lasted long enough to kind of capture your attention. But one of the stronger ones that I've felt certainly in a while.
Yeah, I mean, a 4.5 is still pretty sizable. You're about, what, 30 miles away from the epicenter. And up here in San Francisco, I'm in the studio. I think we're a little more insulated, and I certainly didn't feel anything. And I've seen the lights in here sway before like crazy to the point where I want to get under the desk. That was not the case today here in San Francisco. I didn't feel it in the studio, although some of our colleagues working in the same building described it as maybe 4 seconds of kind of a back and forth gentle swaying. So yeah, or maybe I'm just desensitized, having lived in the Bay Area since age 8, that I can't even feel it anymore until it's a 5.0.
Well, it's interesting that 5.0 that we had sometime last year, I don't remember the exact month, I was out and about, didn't feel that whatsoever. So I feel your pain in that respect. It's just one of those things where it happens to capture your attention there in that moment. You're wondering what exactly is going on. And some of us learned today, especially here in the South Bay, that was another earthquake.
Right. I mean, I should mention, and folks know this if they've been through it, that aftershocks are going to be likely possible in the next few hours, certainly, but maybe even day or two. So just be aware of that. And it's a good time to really take those precautions, right? So things aren't falling onto you. Is your bookcase anchored to the wall? Is your, TV secured? I mean, I imagine, Dustin, you've done all those things. I mean, you're in your home office. I'm so tempted to say, show me all the earthquake preparations you've made. Walk me around your home. I'm not going to do that. But I imagine those are some of the things you're thinking about as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a couple of bobbleheads behind me, and while they're still bobbling around, they have not fallen. So everything's secured. That is a great piece of advice. And honestly, it just goes along with the kind of year that we're having, being prepared for these major storms, these high winds, power being knocked out. That's something that can happen sometimes with earthquakes as well. So hopefully everybody else is prepared. Their house isn't a mess right now, and everything is staying safe for them.
Oh, by the way, did you sign up? Or Spencer, are you ready to jump into the conversation?
Graphic up, but you can go ahead and ask that question to Dustin while he's there.
Right. No, I'm just curious if you signed up for the shake alert and whether you got it, because I think for magnitude 4.5 or over, people who signed up by phone for the My Shake app would get an alert.
Right.
Yeah. Spencer.
I just got a report from a friend in Walnut Creek who has the My Shake app, by the way. It indicated 4.4, and he felt it in Walnut Creek. So apparently lots of locations in the East Bay. Everyone I've heard from so far who has reported having felt some shaking is over in the East Bay. So San Leandro, Walnut Creek, and the two major fault lines running through the area, as Drew pointed out in his text earlier, are the San Andreas Fault and the Calaveras Fault. And it does appear that San Andreas Fault is closer, fault line, I should say, is closer to where the center of the quake was. So it's more, Drew's probably right, it's more likely, although we have no official word yet from any of the seismologists that it was, related to the San Andreas Fault, but probably, given the location of the epicenter.
Okay. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, Spencer. And look, I think, it sounds like the shake alert did go out, and that means for those of us who are farther away from the epicenter, we might have gotten that alert before we actually felt the shaking.
Right. That happens.
So that is kind of a neat thing,
Yeah.
right? Where you always say, if I just have that few seconds to get under a desk or, know it's coming. So we want to check in. We're going to try to after talking to the My Shake Alert folks, but it seems like, at least based on anecdotal experiences or stories, that this might have worked pretty well, which, of course, Spencer, it's always, we test them out during these smaller quakes because we know the big
Because we'll need them when the bigger ones occur, right? And you mentioned that you grew up here, Kristen, so you've experienced lots of quakes here in the Bay Area. And I happened to be on an assignment here when the big one hit in 1989, the Loma Prieta. So,
were you at the baseball game?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I wasn't at the game. I was supposed to be here for the game, but I was actually on the 19th floor of the St. Francis Hotel when the quake hit. I would rather have been at the ballpark, because I would have felt safer down on the ground, even though it was shaking rather furiously. But when you're 19 floors up in a high-rise building, it's even more terrifying. Fortunately, we haven't had anything of that magnitude lately, and this certainly doesn't come close, although 4.4 to 4.6 is not something to be overlooked. It's a significant quake.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I was by a pool and I saw the pool water sloshing out of the pool like giant waves, right? And that was pretty frightening. I mean, this is not anywhere near that quake in magnitude. I believe that was a 6.8 or something like that.
Right.
But we always have to be ready. And I'm looking at the USGS shake map, and it does seem like that this was felt by people. Yeah, the northern end of that would be just in Marin County, maybe. Is kind of where folks felt it and reported feeling the shaking. So
not so surprising then that we're getting reports from people in the East Bay and as far northeast from the epicenter as San Leandro and Walnut Creek that they felt it. But up in Marin County, that's quite a distance away.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a pretty big one. And what we're able to discern right now, and I'm just looking at USGS information, is that they are talking about the Calaveras Fault as kind of the main fault that this occurred on. And in terms of, overview of the map, latest shaking, let's see if we can see if there's been a few aftershocks. I'm actually not seeing aftershocks. Let me know if you see anything different.
I'm looking for that right now, too.
Okay, so by the way, when this happens, there's always track inspections on all our transit systems, and we are hearing from Valley Transportation Authority in the South Bay. They're very close to the epicenter, that there's a 5-minute delay right now, which doesn't sound too bad, for track inspections. And I'm going to check for you when I get a chance to see if that's happening on BART, but the other systems as well, maybe the ACE trains. They tend to do that just to make sure that the integrity is just fine in terms of no quake damage to the rails and things like that. So do be aware of that. And then also, again, I'm just going to pass along the request from Santa Clara's police department there that people should not call 911 to say, was this an earthquake I just felt? To instead just save the 911 line for actual emergencies, because you will get them after earthquakes. Sometimes people could get hurt when things fall on them, and then you could also have gas line ruptures, and those are things that are possible even with a 4.5 in magnitude. So do save the 911 calls for true emergencies. All right, folks, we're going to try to get more information here for you. Is there anybody available for us to chat by phone with, or a reporter that we can go to? Okay, our reporter Lauren Martinez is also out there and joins us once again with any new information. You got any, Lauren?
Well, Kristen, I do know that some kind of preventative measures that some fire departments take in Milpitas, they actually take their equipment outside when there is an earthquake. So just a reminder to take some safety precautions. The Santa Clara, I believe, city or county tweeted out that it is Earthquake Prevention Month. So that's kind of a good tidbit to know as we're in April right now. Very fitting for what happened today. But I was telling you earlier, I was just sitting at my desk here at the San Jose Bureau, and I knew exactly what was happening at the time. So I'm going to continue to kind of look at some effects, maybe damages out of Hollister, but we'll keep you updated for that.
All right, Hollister, how far away is that from the epicenter, Lauren?
As far as from we're about 90 minutes out from Hollister and making our way there. I'm not sure quite how far the epicenter was from Hollister.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious of that, but basically you're about 90 minutes north. Okay, so I'll let you go and gather more information. Really appreciate it. By the way, Lauren, did you set up your My Shake alert, the app?
I did. I have it out of Mountain View as my home base, but I did have that. I had to re-download it, obviously, because I moved out for a couple of years. But once I moved back a couple of months ago, I was sure to re-download that app.
Wait, so did you get it before you felt the shaking?
The alert, no, I did not. I had to kind of reprogram to get the alerts, but I did have it downloaded. I just didn't have the, I think, settings for it to notify me that one was about to hit.
Okay. Thank you so much. You probably covered that. Someone was talking to me in my ear probably when you said it. So a lot of multitasking going on, but thank you so much, Lauren. Appreciate it. Let's go to ABC 7 News reporter.
No worries.
Now. All right, let's go to Dustin Dorsey, who is not too far away, also in San Jose, with some new information for us. Hey, Dustin.
Yeah, hi there. You know, you were talking to Spencer a little bit and just Lauren as well, is interesting. We didn't get, I just reached out to my family as well. While they felt the earthquake, they didn't get any of those alerts either. So it's always interesting to see how some of those worked out. And I know in the past we've gotten the alerts and then not felt the earthquake itself. So there's always kind of a lost art, I guess, for those shake alert apps.
Right. And I wonder if there are individual settings where you can tell it, I only want to be given the alert if it's over this particular magnitude. I think 4.5 seems pretty standard for that, which is what we are at. Again, for folks who are just tuning in, it happened at 3:23, this earthquake based in Tres Pinos in San Benito County. Dustin, you cover that area a lot. What is that epicenter, that region like in terms of the buildings and what's around it?
Yeah, it's thankfully not a big city in the sense of you're going to have a lot of high rises, tall buildings, things like that. But just even here I'm on the second floor of my house and we felt it. So you don't have to be too high off the ground to, feel that kind of shaking. Of course, at a 4.5, that's definitely a magnitude that would capture your attention no matter what you're doing on the ground level or anywhere higher than that. Right.
All right. And, Dustin, that area does tend to get a lot of smallish quakes, right? It's a very active seismic zone.
Yeah, I mean, this year alone, we've seen plenty down here in the South Bay area. So I was just thinking to myself earlier when I felt the earthquake, how often we've been feeling these earthquakes from anywhere from 3 level, 4 level, even the 5 level during last year. So it's been certainly more active than it has been in years past. But, I guess that's kind of what you sign up for here in the Bay Area.
Right. Yes, indeed. Dustin, thank you so much. Really appreciate you joining us with your experience today. Just real quickly, if we want to put up the map for folks and kind of explain why we're on right now and you're not seeing World News with David Muir, it's because we had an earthquake, a pretty sizable one at 4.5 that happened a few minutes before 3 o'clock based in San Benito County. It is in Tres Pinos, not too far away from Hollister, as you can see from there, but shaking has been reportedly felt throughout the Bay Area, including here in San Francisco, where some of us in this building, I didn't feel it, but some of us felt it as a 4-second gentle swaying back and forth a little bit, a little more jolty, if you will, sharper and stronger down in the South Bay where our bureau is down in San Jose. So that is what's happened. We don't have any reports of damage yet that we're seeing, and we hope we won't see any. As Dustin mentioned, it is not heavily populated and doesn't have a lot of tall buildings, so we hope that damage is minimal if there's any. But keep in mind that right now police are still asking folks to not call 911 if they don't have an emergency, right? Stay off the 911 line, leave it clear. And some of your transit systems may be experiencing delays due to the mandatory checking of the tracks that they always do after a sizable quake in the Bay Area. And we do have confirmation at least that VTA is certainly experiencing minor delays. You don't have to change your plans due to their checking of the tracks down in the South Bay. All right, so we're going to take just a super quick break for you to collect things together. But of course, as you know, ABC 7 News at 4 is coming up in just a few minutes with me and Larry Beal. So we'll have the latest on this earthquake to hit the Bay Area or just south of the Bay Area at 4. So I'll see you then.